2024 prelims done and dusted. Storm getting a massive victory over the Roosters, and that's what's wild about this is the fact that Roosters being a really good team overall, and the Storm coming out and beating them by 30. And lots of controversy, obviously, at the start of this game. Nelson getting the 10 in the bin, Roosters getting that 3 penalties in that first couple of minutes there, and Storm felt like they were being hard done by. But you come out off the back of that and put on this dominant display, shows how good of a team you are. And for the Roosters, you lose Collins early, and that is really a massive loss. So you compare it both sides. You lose Collins for the game, and then you lose Nelson for 10 minutes. And I would come out and say I think losing Collins for the game is much bigger of a much larger of a loss than that of losing Nelson for 10 minutes. Because if you're a really solid defensive side, you can come out there and you could at least maybe give up one try if you do in that time. If you're a good team, right? That's usually how that works out. The other big thing in all this was the fact that in this time with Nelson off the park, the Roosters and Suaalii end up taking that goal kick, that conversion, the penalty goal there, instead of going for the jugular and trying to score. And unfortunately, sometimes it comes across as a little bit more of a negative mindset. And in these games, when you are the underdog, you need to take it to the other team. And that just felt like a really pivotal moment in this match. You obviously lose Collins, and then you don't get on the front foot and try and push for tries. And we know that Storm, especially, the Roosters as well, they're both teams this year who can come out and score lots of points. So to come out with that mindset and to go for that there, I think it just felt a little bit too negative, and it kind of came out the other side with them getting trounced especially in the back end of this game, just before halftime, and then 4 tries in that second half. Yeah, Roosters were up early too. They were up 6-0 with that Daniel Tupou try early on this game, and they were looking pretty solid. But the Storm team they just had too much in attack. They had too much power through their big four, and in their spine, in their 1, 6, 7, and 9 there, all been absolutely incredible. And what was best about this was just great to see Pappenhausen absolutely turn it on for his best game of the year. It wasn't even close. So yeah, gave me a big smile there to see Pap out there doing his thing. For the first time in a good while now at some of his peak work, which was he didn't have that explosive longer term speed, that sort of 40 meter plus speed, but he had that little burst, and he had the ability to get outside his defender, whether that was for the try on the right hand side or for that line break a little bit, not too long after that, for them to push towards another try in that section there where Howarth and then Hughes scored again. He was just really dominant in that first half and showed what he can do. So he was a massive in terms of getting back another superstar, which he hasn't been, unfortunately, this year. And fair play, he's copped a couple of massive injuries, and for him to come out the other side, that was the most pleasing thing as a fan of the game, but a fan of Pap, was to see him come out the other side and play really well. You can see the growth of guys like Jack Howarth across this season. He's become a really important cog on that left-hand side defensively, and obviously in attack as well. He's a super strong player. So just a shout out to him as well. Picked up a try in this game, but Jerome Hughes, there's not much else you can say about this guy. The superlatives are infinite this year, and hopefully he wins the Dally M, because he absolutely deserves it. He's taken all of his during the season form, regular season, into the postseason here, and he's been absolutely incredible. So to pick up another triple after doing it the other week is absolutely incredible. So well done to Hughes and his efforts there. Munster was great as well. Had his moments where he was able to do some great work, and obviously scored those 2 individual tries at the end. So he has just that elusive ability to get away from defenders in a one-on-one scenario, or to fool defenders when he's trickling across field, or close to the line in this scenario here, and then in their first finals game as well. He had a great game. But I think Harry Grant, over this last sort of 5 to 6 weeks, has really turned into what we thought he would be coming into this year. Like, taking on the captaincy, it was definitely something that I think has taken a little bit of its toll on Harry. And you can see here, Munster obviously had a great game fantasy-wise, and we'll get into the fantasy scores for finals in a second. But For Grant, I think him defensively has improved as well, and him running out of dummy half has been massive for him. And he obviously picked up 3 try assists in this one as well. But even just for him, the meters gained isn't very high. It's at 41, but it's running 9 times out of dummy half. Getting out of there and not just passing off the deck is something that when it's happening, this team is just almost unbeatable because he's such a great player. But the thing is, if he gets out of dummy half and the ball's rolling a bit, he's getting it out to Munster. He's getting it out to Hughes on either side. And then you've got Big Nelson in the middle. You've got Katoa on that right-hand side. And then Pappy in and around the ruck there as well, being able to do great things. So, yeah, just a very, very special side. They've really rounded things out. I think Meany's really improved. Warbrick's improved massively. They've got Howarth and they've got an origin player in Coates. They just have such a well-rounded side now. And some would say their middles aren't as strong, but they've all stepped up. Josh King's been absolutely awesome for 2 years in a row now. Blaw's doing his job on the left. Katoa's great. Trent Liero in 13 has been incredible. And they haven't even needed Welch and Kamikamica as much this year. Both those guys have played lower minutes and they've really put all their chips in on the Lieros, the Kings, these types of guys through the middle to be that starchy guy that can do great things. So most of this review is going to be around the Storm and just how good they are, because they deserve every plaudit and everything that's come their way this year. They have been the best team in the comp, and they're going to be coming up against the second best team in the comp in Penrith there. And for the Roosters side of things, it wasn't Tedesco's best game. Obviously, we can clearly say that one there. Manu, same deal. All their guys were solid, basically, is all you could sort of say for the Roosters guys. Very gallant in defeat. Tried their best, but they just didn't have enough, and the Storm were way too good. And you've got Radley playing another 55 minutes with a broken scapula. It's just freakish what some of these guys can do. And there's not too much else to say on the Roosters. They unfortunately have fallen short again with a very incredible roster. They are missing Sam Walker, whereas the Storm guys aren't missing anyone. They're completely fully fit and healthy. So you've got that as an excuse, but they definitely didn't think they'd be getting an Angus Crichton back to his best form this year. So that was a really big addition for him. Satili's played some good games in the back row there. They didn't see the growth from guys like Sua Wong, but they had great growth from Terrell May this year. Dom Young really fit in well. Suoli'i had a really solid season. You've got Tedesco with a resurgence after last year. So there's a lot of things that they added. Connor Watson was absolutely incredible this year, which wasn't expected to this level as well. So plenty of things happened for this side in a positive way, and that helped them obviously get to a prelim. But what does it take for them to get over the hump and get to the next level? That's the big question for the Roosters. And obviously you can say that losing Walker and Brandon Smith are a big thing. And I don't think Brandon's been as good as he would have hoped and what the Roosters would have hoped as well. So and I don't think Walker would have taken them over the hump here. So what is it for them? What is it that gets them over the line? And we've seen that over the last few years. It's been sort of tough sledding for them to really play consistent, really good footy. And for the Panthers up against the Sharks, shout out to the Sharks for really being able to hang in this contest. They did a really good job in pushing the Panthers. But I was saying to some friends that night, I was like, it'll be the way it was going. We were speaking about 20-minute mark. I was like, well, they were down at this point. No, what were they down? Yeah, penalty goal. It was like 2-2. Yeah, 2-2 at that time at the 20-minute mark. And I was like, this is fine. Sharks are really in the contest, but Panthers love this. They'll go back and forth with the Sharks, put them in corners, tire them out, and then they'll smash them at the end in that last 20. I said from 60 onwards, they'll really turn it on. And that's exactly what they did. Again, 3 tries after the 60th minute mark in To'o Alamotti and Liam Martin. And obviously that Alamotti try early, and then Katoa's try. Got this game fairly even at that point, and then they blew away with it. But shout out to Sharks for hanging with the Panthers for 60 minutes here. This is just what they do to teams. Not too much else to say on the Sharkies apart from a growth year, I would say, for a lot of their guys. Like to have Trindle with that massive growth. They've got Iro in there doing awesome stuff. I don't think Kennedy went too far forward, but Katoa, Mulatalo, really, really solid. Ramian had a good year as well. I think Blake Brayley really had a good push this year for some improvement. Rudolph and Oregon Kafusi had great years. I think Nikora probably had his best year of his career. Teague Wilton was better defensively. McInnes was really solid. Talakai's got a new role off the bench. I think Jack Williams had a better year. They had Hazleton doing great stuff. They've got Atkinson on the bench there as a great guy, as a utility, fullback type of player that could play some fullback. Is obviously a great half in his own right. So I think a really, really good growth year for the Sharks, but they were never, in my opinion, going to be too much of a match for the juggernaut that is the Penrith Panthers. And shout out to these guys, some incredible work from them. Alamotti ended up getting that conversion at the end with Cleary going off, but 2 tries for Paul. Really solid season, I'd say, coming over from the Dogs there, and I think he'll build from there. Isaac Tonga hasn't had his best season, obviously, but he's still really solid, right, for the most part. And he's not going to have... He's had a couple of sort of shockers this year, but he's had a lot of good games as well. Taruva's been great. Edwards still not at his absolute best, but was super solid in this one, running for another 270. Just crazy to say. We've just seen such incredible games from guys like him. To'o really solid again. Luai doing his thing. And Cleary, man, there's not much else you can say about these guys other than well done. You're incredible. And this final is going to be absolutely amazing as well. And we'll preview that when we get out the finals fantasy picks there as well. But Cleary, before his shoulder complaint, get him off early. The game was done by this point, basically. So, Cleary comes off. They had Snyder on the bench, which is perfect anyway for that reason. Cleary, masterclass. Not much else to say. Incredible. Mitch Kenny, the full 80 again, doing great stuff. Fisher Harris, the 50 minutes. It's going to be crazy to see him not in a Panthers jersey, that's for sure. Along with Luai, to be fair. I just got this feeling that I think he can... Coming into next season, I really feel like he's going to have a really good start with the Tigers. I was going to say turn them around, but I think that there's a lot more to the Tigers than what we know, obviously. And I think that they're going to surprise a few teams in the first month of the season. So that's my kind of prediction. I think he's just going to be great for their culture. They need that bit of mongrel. They need something out there, that's for sure. Bateman was trying to do it all himself, and it's hard when you're not he's a key cog, but not a half, a really key cog there. But Garner's been great. Liam Martin, a great try at the head knock there. Even Isaiah Yeo got 3 minutes rest. Good on him for that one. Lindsay Smith's been great. They just got such a solid team across the board. Game breakers and the best player in the game right now in Cleary. The best winger, one of the best fullbacks, the best forward pack, the best 13. It's really tough. It's really tough to beat these guys. So it's going to be super, super fun to watch that grand final. It's the grand final we thought was going to happen. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. Sunday night, it's going to be an incredible final. And as I said, I cannot wait to watch that one. But moving over to finals fantasy, and a big congratulations to everyone that had a good week here. Anything in the high 300s was a good win, and the guys up top there in Corey and Mick ended up having 388 weeks, which was very, very high. They were that was the max you can get. I've got Ben in there 3 times. I've got to fix that, but make sure when it's all said and done, guys, I'll go through and fix everything if there's any doubles or whatever else, or fake names and stuff. We'll make sure that the winners are real. Anyway, let's say that. But I've spoken to a few of these guys up top already at this point, especially Bailey. So shout out to Bailey after a cracking start. Is still only 27 off the lead. But again, you only need to be in the top 5 to get that discount. But we're here for bragging rights. Is what we're here for. So I'll post this a link to this somehow. But it's in the Discord, guys. Make sure you get in the Discord. I already posted this in there last night. But what about the Scoopman coming in at 7th or 8th? What's that? 8th. Incredible work there. For the Scoopman, Adam Grant still there. Bev, Stewart, still having really good, I was going to say seasons. We'll call this a season, a 3-match season. David Billington. A bunch of guys there in good spots. Me personally, there's Richard. Me personally, I'm at the early page 3. So we're not in the best spots, and I had a couple of tough ones. If you went Edwards over Tedesco, that was kind of the biggest difference this week, and then Cleary ended up with a ridiculous score. So there you go. That's the leaderboard there, and then we go to the scores for the week. I was like, where am I? Finals week 3. So Watson with the 62 grand and 81 with the 3 try assists. Blake Brayley another 54. Liero, King, Fisher, Harris, Radley not too high across the board. So Liero and Fish with 44 were the 2 biggest. Katoa, Nikora, Crichton. You had Nikora being the winner in that one, 52, but fairly low across the board for those. Hughes, 89, but Cleary outdid him. Shock with 116 there. Manu, Tungo, Ramian and Meany, and Meany ended up being the highest scorer there. But if you did, there was a few people that picked Ramian, but Kennedy with 22 and then Daniel Tupou with 54 were the guys that did replace those players there. So a couple picked Kennedy, a few picked Tupou, so that would help them out as well, if that's the way you did. But yeah, it was a pretty laid out for Ramian, so it was hard to kind of lock him in as a pick. And I don't know. Did you expect Kennedy or Daniel Tupou to really outdo those centers? Probably not. So there you go, guys. That's the finals fantasy wrap up. The 2 games, my thoughts on them, and the season for those teams that have lost. So thanks for being here, guys. We'll be back for the preview on Wednesday or Thursday. We've got some time basically until Saturday. So see you guys.